Have you ever walked away from a situation and thought, I should not have made it out of that? Maybe it was a close call on the road. Maybe it was a choice you were about to make, but something stopped you. Not fear, not hesitation, something else, something bigger than you. The truth is, we all have moments that defy logic. Moments where the outcome makes no sense, yet somehow we're safe. We don't talk about those moments often because the world has taught us to explain everything, to trust what we see. But deep down, you've always known something was there, something you couldn't see, but could feel. What if I told you that you've been protected more times than you can count? What if I told you that you were never walking alone? The world can feel cold. People let us down. Pain becomes familiar. And in the chaos, it's easy to believe that no one's watching, no one cares. But that's where the lie begins. Because the moment you were born, something sacred was placed beside you, a silent guardian, not with wings and glowing light like the stories say, but real, present, assigned, just for you. There is a force around you, one that has pulled you out of danger, stopped the wrong people from staying in your life, given you peace when your mind was falling apart. And you might think that was luck, coincidence. But tell me, how many coincidences does it take before you start to believe it was protection? You weren't forgotten, you were being guarded. And the reason you didn't see it is because real protection doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't come with thunder or flashing lights. It comes quietly, through a gut feeling that told you not to go, through the voice in your head that whispered walk away, through the delay that frustrated you, but ended up saving your life. You see, we expect miracles to look like magic, but the greatest miracles often look like ordinary moments. The truth is, the ordinary is how the divine hides in plain sight. So you don't see an angel, but you feel the hand that pulled you back from the edge. You don't hear a voice, but you sense a peace that calms your storm. This isn't about religion. This is about reality. A spiritual reality that we've grown too distracted to notice. But just because you don't notice something doesn't mean it isn't real. You don't see the air you breathe, but it's there. You don't hear the heartbeat of the earth, but it's moving. And in the same way, you may not see them, but you are surrounded. You've been asking, why didn't I fall apart? Because you were held. You've been wondering, why didn't I give up when I had nothing left? Because something stood between you and the darkness. You think you're weak because you broke down, but the truth is, you're strong because you got back up. And you didn't get back up alone. You are stronger than you think. But even the strong need protection. And the more purpose you carry, the more danger you attract. That's why you're not unguarded. Because your life has meaning. And anything with meaning is worth defending. There were battles you didn't see. Attacks that never reached you. Disasters that turned directions before touching you. You didn't notice because you weren't meant to fight them. You were meant to keep walking. And someone made sure you could. So if you're listening right now, it's not by mistake. You were drawn here to remember something your soul has always known. You are not walking this world alone. And the moment you start to believe that, everything begins to change. Because once you believe you're protected, your fear loses power. Your doubt becomes quieter. Your steps grow stronger. And your heart finds peace. Stay with this message until the end. Because if you've ever questioned your worth, if you've ever wondered whether someone out there sees your pain, you deserve the answer. And what you're about to hear may awaken a truth you forgot was even there. There's a reason you made it through what was supposed to break you. And it wasn't just your strength. It was because you were never left to fight alone. There is a presence that walks with you, one you can't always see, but it shows up when your soul cries out. It shows up when your heart whispers, I can't take anymore, and yet somehow you do. You were covered in moments that could have ended everything. The breakdowns, the rejections, the nights where sleep wouldn't come, and the days where peace felt like a dream. But even then, especially then, there was help. Quiet, gentle, powerful. The world told you that if you didn't see it, it wasn't there. But your spirit knows better. It knows the feeling of being lifted when you had no strength left to stand. It knows the sudden calm in the middle of your worst storm. Human psychology tells us we look for patterns to feel safe. We look for control, but there are patterns too perfect to be random. There is guidance too specific to be chance, like the job you didn't get that saved your purpose, the person who walked away so you could walk forward, the delay that kept you from disaster. You thought life was punishing you, but it was protecting you. Not every no was a rejection. Some of them were redirections. You keep searching for a sign that you're not alone, but you've already lived through them. You've already survived the proof. And the more you open your eyes to that truth, the more you'll realize you're surrounded by a presence that doesn't need recognition to do its job. It only needs your belief. Not because your belief activates it, but because your belief allows you to see it. And when you begin to see that you were guarded all along, your entire life starts to make sense. The pain had purpose, the chaos had protection, and your survival was never accidental. We live in a world that teaches us to trust what we can measure, what we can prove, what we can hold in our hands. But what if the most powerful things aren't meant to be held, but felt? What if the very reason you're still standing isn't something you can explain with logic, but something deeper, something sacred? That's the truth the world tries to hide. Because if you believed you were protected by something greater, you'd become fearless. And fear is how the world controls you. When people forget that they're being guided, they begin to carry burdens that were never meant for them. They try to control everything, fix everything, hold everything together with tired hands. And that's when they break. That's when anxiety takes over. But what the mind forgets, the soul still remembers. You were never meant to do this life alone. You were meant to trust what you can't always see. That quiet whisper, that peaceful nudge, that moment of hesitation that saved you. Those are not coincidences. They are signals that someone is watching over you. We ignore them because they don't scream. They don't fight for our attention. But the truth never forces itself. It waits for us to become still. And when you finally stop running, when you slow down and breathe, that's when you'll start to see what's been around you all along. Protection, love, guidance, invisible, yes, but undeniable. You don't have to see something to trust it. You don't have to understand it to believe it. Some things are felt with the heart before the mind ever catches up. And when you begin to let go of needing proof for everything, you open yourself to the kind of strength that can't be explained, only experienced. That's where your freedom begins, not in control, but in surrender. And the more you surrender, the more you'll see. You were never walking alone, not for one moment. Every soul carries a purpose, and with that purpose comes protection. You were never placed on this earth without help. From the moment you took your first breath, a plan was set in motion, a divine design, one that included people, moments, and guardians. Not the kind you see in movies, not glowing figures in robes, but real messengers, real guides, angels sent to walk beside you in silence. These guardians aren't random. They're assigned, specifically, intentionally, and personally. You're not just another face in the crowd. You're not just a name among billions. You were created with intention, and that means heaven made a decision to assign help that would follow you through every high and every low. These angels are on a mission, your mission, to defend your peace, to protect your path, to block what was never meant for you, and to guide you toward what is. That moment you hesitated before a decision that didn't feel right, that wasn't fear. It was a warning. That time you lost something you thought you needed, that wasn't failure. It was redirection. And when someone left you, when you thought they were supposed to stay, it wasn't abandonment. It was alignment. You didn't lose your way. You were being moved toward the way that was meant for you. There is a power behind the scenes of your life that knows more than you do. It sees what you can't. It moves ahead of you and clears paths you would have stumbled over. It holds back the storms that would have destroyed you. And yes, sometimes the road still gets hard, but you've never walked it alone. Those quiet whispers that made no sense at the time, they were guidance. That peace you felt after crying yourself to sleep, that was comfort, delivered by hands you couldn't see. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You've been chosen. And with that comes a level of protection no human can replicate. The more you trust that truth, the more clearly you'll begin to feel the presence that's been walking with you since the beginning. There's a sacred pattern in life. When things fall apart, help always arrives. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. It's in your lowest moments, when everything feels dark, that the light begins to move. When your heart is broken, your energy drained, and your hope fading, that's when angels step forward. Not with loud answers, but with quiet presence. They don't take the pain away, but they carry you through it. Human psychology tells us the mind becomes most vulnerable during moments of deep emotional pain. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when fear becomes louder than faith. But those are also the moments when spiritual intervention becomes strongest. Because when your strength runs out, you begin to rely on something beyond yourself. That surrender opens the door for the divine to move. Think back to your darkest hour. Maybe you were on the edge. Maybe everything in you wanted to give up. And yet something small kept you going. A moment of peace, a sudden thought, a phone call, a word you needed to hear at the exact time you needed it. That wasn't random. That wasn't just timing. That was love sent in the form of protection. That was heaven reminding you, you are not alone in this. You may not see the angels, but you felt them. You felt them in the silence after the storm. You felt them in the strength that rose out of nowhere. You felt them in the courage that didn't come from you, but came through you. That's what they do. They show up when everything else disappears. They hold you when nothing else can. And sometimes they stop what would have destroyed you before it ever reaches you. Your pain did not go unnoticed. Every tear was seen, every silent prayer heard, every cry for help received. You might think no one came, but they did. And because of that, you're still here, breathing, standing, healing. You are living proof that unseen hands never stopped working in your favor. You've experienced moments where something told you to turn back, to wait, to speak up, or to stay silent. You couldn't explain it, but it felt urgent. That quiet nudge, that sudden clarity. Those are not accidents. They are signs, small, sacred signals that something greater is working behind the scenes of your life. And once you start to notice them, you'll realize they've been there all along. So many people think miracles are supposed to look dramatic, but real miracles are often quiet. They hide in moments we overlook, like the person who entered your life and spoke truth you needed, like the opportunity that showed up when you were about to give up, like the storm that seemed certain, but somehow passed you by. These are not coincidences. They are evidence of divine protection. The human brain is wired to focus on what's wrong. It's a survival instinct. But if you never shift your focus, you'll miss what's right. You'll miss the moments you were protected. You'll forget the battles you never had to fight because something blocked them before they reached you. The truth is, you don't need to see the miracle. You only need to remember that you're still here. And that in itself is proof. Your life is surrounded by signals, the gut feelings you couldn't ignore, the gentle voice that warned you, the peace that made no sense in the middle of chaos. These are not just emotional responses. They are the language of your soul, responding to something greater. And once you learn how to listen, everything changes. Because what you once called luck becomes something deeper. What you once dismissed as chance becomes divine strategy. What once felt like isolation becomes evidence that you were never abandoned. The signs have always been there. You just needed stillness to notice. And now that your eyes are opening, you'll begin to see that you've never walked this path alone, not even for a moment. Faith is not about religion. It's about trust. The kind of trust that goes beyond what you can see or control. When you choose faith, you activate something powerful inside of you. It shifts your focus from fear to strength, from confusion to clarity, from panic to peace. And that shift opens the door for divine help to move more freely in your life, because faith doesn't change the world outside of you. It changes the way you see it. And that changes everything. When the mind is filled with fear, it blocks awareness. Fear keeps you focused on problems, pain, and worst-case scenarios. But faith resets the lens. It reminds you that you are not in this life by accident, that every moment you've survived has meaning. Faith doesn't make the struggle disappear, but it reminds you that you're not facing it alone. And that reminder gives you strength even when nothing around you makes sense. Angels are drawn to faith, not because they need your belief to exist, but because your belief creates connection. The more you trust, the more you become aware. The more you believe, the more you notice what has been there the entire time. It's not about wishing for protection. It's about recognizing that it's already surrounding you. Faith is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual. It keeps you grounded while lifting you higher. There are things happening for you right now that you can't see. Delays that are saving you, setbacks that are building you, closed doors that are redirecting you, and faith allows you to keep walking even when you don't understand. That's where your power grows. Because when you walk by faith, you stop chasing answers and start trusting the process. You begin to feel supported, even in silence. You begin to see the invisible hands at work in your life. That's when fear loses its grip. That's when peace starts to take root. And that's when you truly begin to walk in the strength that was always meant for you. The stronger your purpose, the more resistance you face. That's not a curse, it's confirmation. The enemy doesn't waste energy attacking what isn't a threat. If life has felt heavy, if battles keep finding you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you carry something powerful, something the world needs, and with that power comes divine protection. You are not being targeted because you're forgotten. You're being guarded because you're chosen. There is a reason certain storms didn't destroy you. There is a reason you've walked through fire and came out wiser. It's because you were never meant to be average. And those who are meant to lead, to heal, to lift others, they go through trials that prepare them. But they also receive protection that sustains them. You are not being punished, you're being prepared. And preparation requires pressure. The truth is, angels don't surround people who have no mission. They surround those who have light that needs to be guarded, purpose that needs to be preserved. You were not overlooked, you were equipped. And part of that equipping is making sure you don't fall in the battles that try to stop your calling. Yes, the pain was real. Yes, the struggle shook you, but you didn't break. And that's the proof. Because if something had the power to take you out, it would have by now. But it couldn't, and it didn't, because you're covered. The more resistance you face, the more you need to remember what's inside you. You weren't made to collapse under pressure. You were made to rise through it. And though you may have moments of weakness, you are always surrounded by strength, unseen, unshakable, assigned to walk with you, fight for you, and make sure your purpose is fulfilled. So when you feel under attack, don't forget who walks beside you. The very fact that you're still breathing means you are still being guided, still being protected, and still meant for more. Most people miss the signs because they expect something dramatic. But divine protection rarely arrives with noise. It comes in stillness. It comes in the quiet decision that felt right even when logic disagreed. It comes in the unexpected pause, the canceled plan, the feeling in your chest that told you to wait. These moments aren't random. They're whispers from something higher, signals that something unseen is working in your favor. Look back at your life. Remember the near misses, the situations that almost happened but didn't, the doors you begged to open but later thanked God they stayed shut, the heartbreaks that left you shattered only to make room for peace you never imagined. These are the signs, but you only recognize them when you begin to see life through a deeper lens. One that's not focused on control, but on connection. One that doesn't ask, why me, but starts to say, thank you. Psychology teaches us that the brain filters out what it doesn't understand. That's why people ignore spiritual moments. They're conditioned to overlook them. But your spirit always knows. It nudges you. It brings up memories at the right time. It helps you feel what logic can't explain. And when you start to trust that feeling, the signs become clearer. The protection becomes visible, not with your eyes, but with your awareness. There were moments you were late, and it saved you. There were people who rejected you, and it freed you. There were seasons that broke you, but they built the version of you that's stronger, wiser, and more in tune with the truth. That truth is this: you have never been unguarded. Even when you didn't feel protected, you were. Even when you thought no one showed up, someone did. You just didn't see it yet. The more you begin to notice these moments, the more you'll realize they're not rare, they're constant. They've been happening all along. The protection didn't begin when you believed in it. It was always there. What's changing now is your ability to see it, and that changes everything. You might wonder how this protection happens. How does God send angels to guard you? It's not random or accidental. There is a divine plan behind every step you take. From the moment you entered this world, you were assigned helpers, silent warriors who stand between you and danger. These angels have a purpose, and that purpose is tied to yours. Your life is not just a series of random events. It's a carefully woven story where every chapter matters. The angels are like guardians of your journey. They watch over your path, protect your heart, and guide you away from harm. They don't force their way in. Instead, they work quietly, moving in the spaces where you don't see them but feel their presence. Sometimes, the way they guard you is subtle. A whisper of intuition, a sudden shift in feeling, or a moment of peace when chaos surrounds you. Other times, their protection is more direct, like a chance encounter that saves you from pain, or an unexpected solution that arrives just in time. These moments are not coincidences, they are divine interventions. Understanding this changes everything. It means you are never a victim of circumstance. You are always a participant in a greater design. Your struggles are not punishments, but part of a path that angels walk with you. They don't eliminate the challenges, but they give you strength to overcome them. They make sure you survive the storms so you can grow stronger after the rain. When you realize that your life is guarded this way, it shifts your mindset. Fear loses its power. Doubt becomes quieter. You begin to see that you are worthy of protection because you have a purpose. And when you carry that truth in your heart, you step forward with courage. You move with confidence, knowing that invisible hands are lifting you up, even when the road feels impossible. This understanding is a gift. It connects you to something greater than yourself. It reminds you that your life matters, that you are deeply loved, and that no matter what you face, you are never, ever alone.